Good morning. Today is the last day of our essay writing. And remember that everything is due on Friday, so if you need a couple days to catch up, you may certainly do that. At this point, most students most likely have an essay that looks similar to Mr. Brewer's. You have an introduction. You have one body paragraph, which is your first reason that supports your thesis. You have a second body paragraph that supports your thesis as well. And you have a third body paragraph that supports your thesis as well. What's missing is our conclusion. So what is a conclusion? A conclusion is there to restate the main point, as well as remind our readers of our reasons. I want you to pause the video and write down these three starters so that you are ready to use one of these when you write your conclusion. The first one says, "I'm sure you now realize." The second one says, "In conclusion." And the last one says, "You can now clearly see." Please write those down and then come back and play the video. Okay. So we're going to take this approach in writing a conclusion. There are multiple ways to write a conclusion, but for the purpose of this essay, we're going to do two steps. Restate your thesis using one of the starters and restate your reasons. So I chose to use the starter, "I'm sure you now realize." Now, in that same sentence, I'm going to add my thesis. "I'm sure you now realize Hal Dog is a good friend." And in my next sentence, I'm going to add my reasons that I chose in the essay. He showed this by seeing the good in people, not giving up on others, and being caring. And I'm going to leave my conclusion at that. It is now your turn. You're going to choose one of the conclusion starters that you wrote down. You're going to make sure to add your thesis and your reasons. And that's it. You're finished for now. But we're going to go ahead and do the editing lesson as well. So right now, I'd like you to pause the video. I want you to go ahead and do your conclusion, and then come back and play the video again. Okay, so now you think you have a completed essay. You have an introduction, you have 3 body paragraphs, and you have a conclusion most likely, which is a total of 5 paragraphs. Before we submit our essays, or say that we're finished, we want to do an editing lesson. Now, you've seen this checklist before. We're going to go over it, and I want you to go ahead and pause after each bullet point. So the first one says, edit for ending punctuation, periods, exclamation points, or questions at the end of each sentence. There's an example given. Sarah felt her heartbeat in her ears, making sure a period is at the end of that sentence. Go right now through your essay and check to make sure you have periods, question marks, exclamation points in the correct places. You may replay the video or play the video when you're finished. Okay, the next thing I want you to check for is capital letters. This is for when you're beginning a new sentence using a proper noun or when giving someone's title like Mrs. Baker. Go ahead and pause the video and go through your essay looking for capitalization errors. Okay, we're ready for our third thing. Check that known high-frequency words are spelled correctly. Now, I've included the high-frequency sight words for 3rd grade, and I'm going to ask you to look over this list and pause the video and see if any of these words might be spelled incorrectly in your essay. There's also a second slide that you can pause the video on, which I'm going to show you right now, with more words that might be in your essay that should be spelled correctly at this point in 4th grade. I'm going to move on knowing you can pause the video at any time and look through these. The fourth one is check that misspelled words are corrected. Now, when we're typing, sometimes the words come up with a little red underline. You can usually click on that and it will give you a suggestion, but not always. If you think a word is misspelled, you can use the internet and you can Google that word to see if it's spelled correctly. You can also use Siri to help with that. Go ahead and pause the video and then come back for the remaining portions. All right, there's 3 more. This is an important one. Read work out loud to an adult, I would recommend, to check for fragments and run-on sentences. So you want to be looking for sentences that need to be added onto so that they make sense, or sentences that need to be cut off or added a conjunction like and, but, so, or. So go ahead and read through and check your work now. Come back when you're ready. Okay. The last 2 have to deal with quotation marks. So, rereading for comma usage. Sometimes commas are needed without quotations, such as when you're separating items or actions in a series. They packed sandwiches, comma, fruit, comma, and drinks in the picnic basket. I know commas are definitely needed in our introduction and conclusion, but be careful, you might need them in your body paragraphs. Use commas before dialogue in a sentence. Make sure you're using commas when you're using dialogue. So Veronica said, or in the text it said, comma, and then you're putting quotations around what was exactly written in the text. Use commas to separate a city and state or a date and a year. I don't think you'll have that in this essay, but there's an example there to show you what it should look like. And last but not least, these 2 kind of go together, so that's why I'm doing them together. Check that there are quotation marks and speech tags whenever a character is speaking. Now, because we're doing quoting from the text, we're basically saying, in the text it said, that's our speech tag, comma, and then your quotation is what was actually written in the text, and that needs to be in quotation marks. Okay, boys and girls, go ahead and check for that, and then come back when you're finished. And last but not least, congratulations, you're finished. By Friday, your essay should be finished so your teacher can look at it and give you feedback. Thank you for listening to me throughout this essay unit. We hope that you did a great job. It might not be perfect knowing we weren't in school, but I'm sure you did a wonderful job. Enjoy the rest of your day.